My name is Ava Chen. I turned 29 last Friday, but you wouldn't know it if you were at my family's house that night. I hadn't been back to my hometown in Texas for over 3 years. Between long hours in fintech and living in San Francisco, I never made time, and honestly, I never saw the point. My family and I were never close. I was the quiet one, the career girl, the one who always showed up without a plus one, the one nobody really paid attention to. Still, when my mom called me out of the blue a month before my birthday, sounding suspiciously sweet, I agreed to come. "We're planning something nice," she said vaguely. "It'd be good to see everyone again." So, against my better judgment, I bought a ticket and flew back. The night I arrived, the house was packed. Cars lined the driveway. I could hear music blaring from inside. Balloons, streamers, laughter. For a second, my heart actually fluttered. Had they remembered? I stepped through the door. Faces turned. People clapped. My Aunt Carol yelled. Surprise, and I smiled, already emotional until someone shouted, "Happy birthday, Maddie." Madison, my younger cousin, the golden child, she came prancing down the stairs in a glittery pink dress while everyone cheered. I stood there holding my overnight bag like an idiot. No one said anything to me, not even a hey. I was just there. A guest at a party hosted in my childhood home. On my birthday. I found my mom in the kitchen. "You didn't tell me this was for Madison," I said quietly. She looked at me blankly. "Well, her birthday's the day after yours. We just thought it'd be easier to do one party. Besides, Maddie's turning 21. It's a big deal." Right. Of course. Maddie. The baby everyone adored. The one who never had to try. The one who once cried at age 6 and had an entire room redecorated overnight. I smiled and nodded. "Makes sense," I said. Then I went to the bathroom, shut the door, and stared at myself in the mirror. I should have known better. As I looked in that bathroom mirror, it all came rushing back, the feeling of always being second place in a family that barely noticed me. Growing up, Madison wasn't just the favorite. She was practically royalty. Her mom, my Aunt Carol, was the kind of woman who brought themed cupcakes to every school function and made custom t-shirts for her daughter's soccer games. My parents, by comparison, were always too tired, too busy, or too distracted. When Maddie got a B+ on a math quiz, the entire family praised her like she'd split the atom. When I brought home straight A's, my dad would nod and say, "Good, keep it up," without looking up from his phone. One Christmas, Madison got a brand new iPad. I got a secondhand scarf that still had the Goodwill tag on it. I remember holding it in my lap, pretending not to care, while my mom gushed over how grateful Maddie was for her gifts. That scarf still smelled like someone else. Even in conversations, I learned to fade out of the spotlight. Maddie could tell a story about her hamster and everyone would hang on every word. I once won a statewide coding competition in high school. No one mentioned it at Thanksgiving. They just asked if I was still doing that computer stuff. It wasn't just Madison. It was the whole family dynamic. Loud voices, big egos, and no space for anyone who didn't shine on command. I was the quiet one, the serious one, the girl who probably just needed to lighten up. What they didn't know was that I had built a whole world for myself out of that silence. I joined computer club in high school, spent weekends fixing busted-up laptops, learning Python at 16 from free online forums. While Maddie got promposals and attention, I built my future line by line in code. By the time I left for college on a full-ride tech scholarship, they barely noticed. There was no send-off dinner, no goodbye card. My mom texted, "Drive safe." That was it. So no, the surprise party for Maddie didn't shock me. It just reminded me why I left and why I had no real reason to come back. But this time, I hadn't come back empty-handed. They didn't know I had just gotten engaged, or that my fiancé, Liam, was one of the most sought-after tech founders on the West Coast, or that we'd just closed on a luxury apartment overlooking the Embarcadero, and tonight, they were about to find out. the summer after high school. While Madison was partying at Lake Travis and posting filtered sunsets with her high school boyfriend, I was pulling double shifts at a coffee shop in Palo Alto and coding until 2 in a dorm room that smelled like burnt ramen and ambition. I graduated early top of my class with a degree in computer science and a minor in economics. I didn't walk at graduation. I had already accepted a job at a fintech firm in San Francisco and moved into a studio apartment before my diploma even showed up in the mail. I knew no one in the city. I ate boxed salads on park benches and worked 14-hour days trying to prove I deserved to be in rooms where no one looked like me. While my cousin was posting vacation pics with captions like, "Blessed," I was pitching architecture frameworks to venture capitalists and debugging security protocols at midnight. 3 years in, I was promoted to senior systems engineer. By 4 years, I was building custom AI-driven fraud detection tools for major banks. My bonus that year was more than my parents' annual income, and I didn't tell them a thing. I didn't need them to be proud of me. I was finally proud of myself. That was also the year I met Liam. It was stupidly cinematic, a coffee shop in Soma. I was reading documentation for an API integration, and he asked if I was a developer. I looked up, annoyed, but something about his smile slowed me down. He was charming, but not pushy, kind, curious. I later found out he was the co-founder of a green tech startup that had just gone public. Quiet money, no flashy watch, no flex. We had our first date at a ramen place that only took cash. He talked more about his dog than his business. I liked that. A year later, he proposed, not in Paris, not on a beach, just us on my apartment balcony, with Thai takeout and a soft, "So, want to keep building something together?" We just closed on a condo with skyline views, 2 bedrooms, open kitchen, floor-to-ceiling windows, and a dog park nearby for the rescue pup we'd been thinking about. Everything was aligning, professionally. Personally, like all those years of silence were just setting the stage. So when my mom called about coming home, I said yes. Not because I wanted to be part of their story, but because I was finally ready to rewrite mine. And I'd brought the first page with me, 20 hand-pressed wedding invitations with gold foil lettering and RSVP codes that led to a password-protected site featuring Liam and me, smiling under the Golden Gate Bridge. I didn't know exactly when I'd hand them out, but something told me I wouldn't have to wait long. I spent most of that night glued to a spot near the hallway, sipping from a plastic cup of warm punch and pretending I wasn't invisible. The music thumped. Someone's uncle was doing karaoke in the living room. The banner above the fireplace read, "Happy 21st Madison," in glittery gold. Nobody noticed I hadn't been greeted. Nobody asked why I was in town, not even my own parents. Madison, of course, was glowing. Her tan was perfect. Her nails were perfect. Her laugh was loud in that way that demands attention. She worked the room like a politician, hugging people, posing for pictures, balancing a cocktail in one hand while flipping her hair like a shampoo commercial. "You came," she said, finally spotting me like I was a fan who'd won a contest. "That's so sweet of you." I smiled politely. "Yeah, big night, huh?" She didn't ask how I was. She didn't ask about San Francisco. She turned and started talking to someone else before I finished my sentence. Later, during the toast, Uncle Dean actually said, "To Maddie, who's all grown up and ready to take on the world." I raised my cup. Sure, why not? My mom passed me by holding a tray of deviled eggs and said, "Be a dear and take this to the table." Sure, I was the help now. Then came the cake 3 tiers, covered in pastel roses, with sparklers instead of candles. Everyone gathered around her, phones out, singing off key. I stood behind someone's cousin who didn't recognize me and blocked my view with his phone the whole time. And still, not one happy birthday to me. Not even a side comment. Not even a mistake. It wasn't just that they forgot. It was that I was never even considered. And I thought, okay, so this is what we're doing. I looked around the room at the faces that only looked at me when they needed a favor or something to gossip about. The same faces that dismissed every success I ever had because it didn't fit their version of family pride. I felt my hand go into my purse. Inside were those 20 invitations, elegant, understated, the kind of thing that made people lean in and squint. It was almost too perfect. They were celebrating someone who hadn't built anything. I was about to hand them a reason to finally look up from their phones, but I didn't want revenge. Not really. I just wanted the facts on the table, and dessert hadn't even been served yet. They were still passing slices of cake when I stepped toward the dining table and cleared my throat not loudly, just enough. No one turned, so I tried again, tapping the glass with my fork. Clink, clink. Finally, a few heads turned. My mom looked mildly annoyed, like I'd just interrupted a game show. "Sorry," I said. "I have something to share." Just a little announcement. Madison leaned over to Liam, her current boyfriend, not mine, and whispered something with a smirk. I reached into my bag and pulled out a small stack of envelopes, cream-colored, heavy paper. No frills, just class, each one embossed with gold initials, A+L. "I wanted to give these to you in person," I said, setting the stack on the table. It felt more personal. My Aunt Carol looked confused. "Is this for a job thing?" I shook my head, smiling. "No, it's a wedding invitation." Silence. Total breath-sucked out of the room silence. I could almost hear the gears turning in their heads. "Wait, Ava, getting married. To Liam," I added. "We've been together for almost 2 years now. We're getting married this fall. The ceremony's in Napa. Small, but we wanted close family to be there." Madison blinked. "Liam-like. Not the one I dated in college." "Right." I looked at her. "No, different Liam. This one builds solar-powered server farms and just made the Forbes under 35 to watch list." Someone gasped. Uncle Dean coughed. My dad shifted like his chair had suddenly become uncomfortable. My mom finally spoke. "You're getting married?" she asked, voice rising like I'd broken some unspoken contract. I nodded, yes, and he's wealthy. I didn't love the question, but I answered anyway. "Let's just say the ring appraised higher than your car." I didn't say it to flex. I said it because I knew they'd understand that language better than he respects me or he makes me feel safe. My mom reached for an envelope like it might vanish. "You should have told us sooner," she said, voice suddenly syrupy. "We'd love to be involved." Now they were all paying attention, like I'd grown a new face. "Ava, this is..." "Wow," someone muttered. Madison stared, speechless for once. Her birthday balloons bobbed behind her, forgotten. No one was singing anymore. I just smiled, letting the silence stretch. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't waiting to be noticed. I wasn't begging for space at their table. I was inviting them on my terms, and whether they showed up or not didn't matter. It was wild how quickly the room changed. Just 10 minutes earlier, I was practically invisible. Now, I was the shiny object in the center of the table. My mom hovered beside me, suddenly full of questions. "So, what's the venue like? Have you picked colors? What about the cake?" I answered politely, but kept it surface level. "It's all planned. We've got a coordinator. It's going to be very simple, elegant. Uncle Dean, the same man who once told me I should learn to smile more, leaned over and said, Napa's beautiful that time of year. What's the exact date again?" I gave him the same smile I gave vendors who tried to overcharge me. The info's in the invitation. Aunt Carol, now practically vibrating with effort, said, "We just had no idea you were seeing someone. You really kept it quiet." I nodded. "Yeah, I've learned to keep certain parts of my life protected." My dad cleared his throat. "Well, if he's half as smart as you are, he must be something." That line would have meant more if he'd ever said it when I was, alive in their house. Madison tried to regain control of the room with a loud laugh and a story about her college roommates, but people were barely listening. One of my cousins was already opening her invitation, scrolling the RSVP QR code on her phone like it was a scratch-off ticket. And me, I just stood there watching the whole thing like a weird little social experiment. It wasn't admiration they were giving me. Not really. It was greed, status hunger, proximity to something sparkly. They didn't suddenly love me. They were just afraid they'd miss their chance to claim me. I took a sip of punch and glanced at the birthday banner behind Madison, and I thought, there's nothing left here I need. I started gathering my things after the cake had been sliced. No one offered me a piece. Not that I wanted it. My mom trailed me to the hallway, holding her invitation like it was a backstage pass. You're not staying the night. I shook my head. Got an early flight, but you just got here, she said, her voice dipping into that overly sweet tone she always used when she wanted something. We haven't even talked about the wedding. There's not much to talk about, I said gently. It's all in the invite. She stepped in closer. We're really proud of you. Ava. Really? Now I asked, not bitter, just honest. After all this time. My dad joined in, hands in his pockets like he didn't know what to do with them. You've really made something of yourself. Your mother and I always knew you'd go far. No, I replied calmly. You didn't. You hoped I'd stay close, stay quiet, take a safe job, marry someone like Maddie's ex-boyfriend and pretend that was enough. They both stiffened. I wasn't yelling. I didn't need to. That's when my mom's smile cracked. Well, we're still family. And family supports each other. Especially now with Madison figuring things out. There it was. Wait, I said, is this about money? They exchanged the kind of glance that confirms everything you feared. Well, my dad started. Maddie's had some setbacks. She's still trying to finish her degree and her car. I'm not your bank, I said. You have so much. My mom said, her voice tightening. It wouldn't even make a dent for you, but it would for me. I replied, because giving to people who only notice you when you have something they want, that's a wound, not generosity. Madison appeared at the hallway edge, arms crossed. So what? You think you're better than everyone now? I turned to her. No, I think I'm finally done pretending I'm less. I slung my bag over my shoulder. You're all invited. If you want to come, come. But I won't chase anyone. I won't buy your love. Not anymore. Then I opened the door, stepped into the cold Texas night, and shut it behind me, quiet, final, clean. I caught the red-eye back to San Francisco, window seat, earbuds in, not a tear shed. By the time I landed, my phone had lit up with missed calls, texts, and one voice message from Aunt Carol that started with, "You need to think about what this family has done for you," and ended in a guilt-soaked monologue about togetherness. I didn't listen to the whole thing. I blocked the number halfway through. I walked into my apartment just after sunrise. The city was still sleepy. I made coffee, opened the balcony doors, and let the morning breeze wash over me. Below, joggers passed by. A couple walked their dog, and the world kept moving without drama, without guilt, without any of the noise I'd just left behind. Liam was still asleep, one arm thrown over the pillow where I should have been. He stirred when I slipped into bed beside him. How was it, he asked, eyes barely open. I didn't need to explain. I just said, exactly what I expected. Then, better, actually. Because now it's done. He kissed my forehead and pulled me closer. Welcome back. That night, my friends threw me a belated birthday dinner. Nothing fancy, just a backyard fire pit, cheap wine, and too many tacos. Lisa gave me a handmade card that said, "To the woman who said nope to generational dysfunction, we toasted to boundaries, to freedom, to building a life we didn't need to recover from." And in that moment, I didn't feel like someone who'd walked away from family. I felt like someone who'd finally walked toward herself. A few weeks later, the wedding RSVPs started rolling in. Some of my extended relatives sent polite, regretfully declined notes. A couple didn't respond at all. I didn't chase them. I didn't need them there. My people were already around me, the ones who'd shown up without conditions, The ones who didn't care if I made six figures or $6. The ones who listened when I spoke and remembered my birthday without needing a Facebook reminder. Madison eventually DM'd me. Hope the wedding's cute. Sorry if I was a little off that night. I left her on read. A few months after the wedding, Liam and I bought a house just outside the city, big backyard, lemon tree, a tiny shed we turned into a guest studio. We got a dog, a rescue named Pixel who likes to nap on my laptop. And for the first time in my life, I felt something I hadn't even known I was missing. Peace. Not the kind you fight for, the kind you choose. So if you've ever felt like the invisible one, the forgotten one, the one nobody believed in, know this: you don't need their approval. You don't need their permission. You just need your truth, your voice, and the courage to walk away when staying would cost you more than leaving ever could. And when you do, your real life, the one that actually fits, finally begins.